people, asshole! If you don't get the hell off of my planet!
Good day to the citizens of this world. Resistance TV is reporting on no dapl. A federal judge Friday set a tentative court hearing for February in the Dakota Access Pipeline's bid to force the government to approve finishing the contested project. Citing losses of $20 million a week, David Dibold, an attorney for pipeline company Energy Transfer Partners, said that without an expedited decision the matter could drag out forever after construction was halted Sunday by the Obama administration. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg acknowledged that the company's challenge could be rendered moot following next month's inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump, whose incoming administration has expressed support for the fraught project, which for months has been shadowed by protests involving the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation. Last weekend, the Army Corps of Engineers said it would not approve an easement for the pipeline to cross a reservoir on the Missouri River in North Dakota at the Standing Rock Reservation, where protesters have been camped. The contested portion represents the final section of the 1,172-mile line. On Sunday, the Department of the Army announced that they would not be granting an easement under Lake Owie, halting the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, DAPL, a 1,172-mile-long pipeline that is intended to connect the Bakken oil fields in North Dakota to a storage and transfer facility in Illinois. It was a huge victory for protesters there, who had maintained a camp for months as temperatures dropped and heavy snow arrived. It's a moment that will be remembered for a long time. Voices that were marginalized were heard and they were heeded, says Sharon Bacino, director of the Land and Wildlife Program at the Natural Resources Defense Council. The decision not to grant the easement means that one of the last sections of the, mostly complete, pipeline cannot be built under Lake Owie, a dammed stretch of the Missouri River that falls under the jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineers. Lake Owie is the main source of drinking water for the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, who sued the Army Corps of Engineers in July to halt the pipeline. While the decision not to grant an easement addresses some of the issues raised in that case, the legal group Earth Justice, which filed the lawsuit, has said that it will wait to see how future events play out before they decide how to proceed with the case. Some changes are already being made. In September, the Department of the Interior and the Department of the Army issued a joint statement prompted by the lawsuit and protests saying that they would focus on improving communications between tribal and federal governments on public infrastructure issues like the pipeline. The current plan for this particular project is for an environmental impact statement to be developed exploring alternative routes for the pipeline, including a route that passes 10 miles north of North Dakota's capital of Bismarck. That route was rejected from earlier considerations due to concerns that a leak of the pipeline might impact the city's drinking water. For now, the pipeline will sit unfinished. The sections of pipe to the north and south of Lake Owie are almost complete, so options for rerouting the pipeline are more limited now than they were before construction began. Although we have had continuing discussion and exchanges of new information with the Standing Rock Sioux and Dakota Access, it's clear that there's more work to do, Joe Ellen Darcy, the Army's Assistant Secretary for Civil Works, said in a statement. The best way to complete that work responsibly and expeditiously is to explore alternate routes for the pipeline crossing. The process of drawing up an environmental impact statement is a long one, and involves assessing all potential environmental impacts of a particular project, in this case, the construction of the pipeline under Lake Owie, and the potential for future leaks. It is a process that's going to be involved and take some time. I would not think that it could be done in a meaningful way in less than a year, Bacino says. Other environmental impact statements prepared for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers took anywhere from several months to several years to be completed. There is a large concern among protesters and advocates that the incoming administration will take a different view of the situation, and may try to find a way to push construction forward again. Protesters are still deciding on how to proceed. Standing Rock leaders are telling people to head home, but some protesters vow to stay through the bitter winter as distrust lingers and unproven rumors swirl that the construction is continuing despite the denial of the easement. President-elect Donald Trump has publicly supported the pipeline and at one time owned stock in the company building it. His team has said that he will review the decision after he takes office. The company itself has no plans of backing down. In a blistering statement released by Energy Transfer Partners, the company argued that the recent Army decision was politically motivated, and maintained that they would continue to push for the completion of construction. As stated all along, ETP, Energy Transfer Partners, and SXL, Sunoco Logistics Partners, are fully committed to ensuring that this vital project is brought to completion and fully expect to complete construction of the pipeline without any additional rerouting in and around Lake Oahe. Nothing this administration has done to date changes that in any way, the statement reads. Could the next administration change things dramatically? The Trump administration could come in and say pretty quickly, that analysis had already been done was sufficient and therefore they were going to grant the easement, Bossino says. But then, the consequences are on them for moving forward. The protests that brought about the current decision were led by the Standing Rock Sioux and other indigenous peoples, but were eventually joined by environmentalists, celebrities, and veterans. Depending on the circumstances, if Trump reversed the Army Corps decision, these groups would likely come back in full force. Then there are the legal consequences. Earth Justice has already issued a statement saying that reversing this decision would be arbitrary, capricious and unlawful, and we would challenge it in court. The president-elect has said he wanted to bring America together, and reversing this decision early in his administration is the opposite of that.
Tomorrow, December 10th, is a day of action. No dapl. Show your support by protesting at your neighborhood's Wells Fargo. Sincerely yours, the Sanitation Man.
This land is not for sale or profit.